So headline number one, Chris, is that the new Inform, that's all caps because it's an acronym for something.
Of course it is.
The Inform Consumers Act officially became law this week on Tuesday, June 27th. According to Chain Store Age, the new, here we go, Integrity, Notification, and Fairness in Online Retail Marketplaces for Consumers Act, also known as Inform, meant to increase transparency of online transactions and to deter criminals from acquiring stolen, counterfeit, and unsafe items and then selling them through online marketplaces. Here are the key components of the law, Chris. As
break it down, Ann. Break it down.
Chain Store Age. I feel like I'm that the reporter on NPR that always has to explain like what's happening in the legislature. Like I feel like her right now. I cannot remember her name.
Can you do it in the NPR voice?
Nina Totenberg. Nina Totenberg.
Yeah. Oh,
that's what I feel like today.
No idea.
All right. So number one, Chris. Online marketplaces must now collect and verify certain financial and identifying information from, quote, high volume third-party sellers, end quote, which are defined as a person or business that meets specific sales thresholds on that platform. Number two, the law requires that online marketplaces generally must disclose on those sellers' product listing pages or in confirmation messages and account transaction histories, the seller's name, address, and contact information. Number three, the online marketplaces must also now suspend high volume third-party sellers that don't provide the required information and must offer a clear way for consumers to report suspicious conduct. Chris.
I need a cigarette ad. I need a cigarette after that read. Whew, that was good.
No, but really, this has been very top of mind, especially this, I think since the beginning of the year, really, but especially within the last few weeks as they try to push this legislation through. What are your thoughts on this move? Is this going to help solve the retail organized crime that we have, that all of us retailers are facing?
Yeah, right. My hunch is, this is my take on this is it's a good first start. It's a necessary first step. But my gut reaction really is that it isn't enough. And I say that for two reasons. One, the high volume designation that you talked about as you read that, it comes after the fact, right? And that's a key point. You and I talk about that a lot. That the criminals are smart. We've done a lot of podcasts on fraud prevention and fraud detection. And they're smart. They're just going to create new accounts over and over again before they even meet these thresholds and before it even raises any red flags. So I don't think it's going to actually do that much. And then second part, Ann, I went to my go-to person who I always talk to about these types of things, my buddy Reed Hayes down at the Loss Prevention Resource Council down in Florida. And he brought up another point, which I had never thought about before. And he told me, he said something I'll never forget. He said, any good law comes down to two things: one, execution, and two, enforcement. Mm-hmm. This is clearly the execution side of that. It says nothing about the enforcement. Now, Reed tells me that there's going to be a follow-on law coming soon meant to get at the enforcement side of this effort. So I think that's good. But net, I think it's a first step, but nowhere near is it enough, in my opinion. It's an example of, I think, best case, skating to where the puck is and not to where the puck is going. And so hopefully there's more to come.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think you needed to have some action, though, from legislators. This was not something that the retailers are able or equipped to handle on their own. And clearly it's getting worse. So I think that we do need to have some actions being taken. I think that doesn't mean, though, that retailers can also rest on this type of legislation either. Like you said, Reed is 100% right. It needs to be enforced. It needs to be penalized. And whatever they decide the enforcement's going to be, the current $3,000 fine, if you get caught doing this, is not going to be enough to deter the career criminals who this is a career, as Bennett from Signify has told us. This is not just a fun thing to do for fun on the weekend for these people. This is an actual job, and they are very good at doing it. I also think that, the hope is here too, that with some of these, we may start to see a reduction in some of the smash and grab, the more dangerous crimes that are happening in the stores. Hopefully, if the volume is one of these things that they're trying to cut down on with these online marketplaces. But I think, the final thing I'll add, this is also going to be something that they're going to have to pay close attention to, because you do have third-party sellers on these sites who are legitimate. And are you going to prevent them from selling on these platforms because of these laws? I think that there's going to be some hurdles to try to get over there. But at least one step forward here. We'll see what execution looks like.
Some negative externalities for sure. Yeah, you bring up a good point too. I forgot about Bennett at Signifyd. Yeah, anybody that can go by one name in the fraud prevention space, you got to take him seriously. Like, yeah, there's probably more to this. But Ann, I got to push back on you a little bit, and I want to give you a chance, because actually, as I was thinking about it, and you read through what that law is about, is there really anything that the retailers couldn't do on their own? Like, if this is a big problem, is there anything that you outlined that they couldn't do on their own?
For sure. There's a ton. I mean, we've talked about this so much. Like, there's so much that retailers can and should be doing in addition to this. I think that is a key thing to emphasize here. It's about investing in technology in store that's going to help prevent this. It's about investing in all of the categories under the umbrella of organized retail crime and shrink, like it's not just about what's happening, these smash and grabs in the stores. It's really taking a wide look at what are all the things that are contributing to this shrink in your store and to this crime and theft, and how are you as a retailer getting strategic about it?
Yeah, I'd actually like to see the online marketplaces go even more aggressive in terms of waiting periods to get the money that they are collecting on their sales. I think that's a way to cause some serious damage in this realm.